Nation against nation, brother against brother.
Good evening and welcome to Deliverance Church Langata. This is the Biblical Perspective program. We are in the month of February now, and you will be watching this as time goes. With me is a gentleman that we have done a lot of things in this platform, and we will try to just do the best to share from a biblical perspective what is our view in the matters that are going on right now. And this is none other than Brother Vincent Kimosop. Karibu.
Thank you, sir.
Karibu sana.
Hey, how are you?
Very well.
Great, great. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I see that
come
you're...
and share perspectives. Yeah,
Yes.
Great. Hope you're well.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Very well indeed.
Yes, sir.
And we definitely have every reason to thank God.
Amen.
There are two things I want us to address ourselves to.
Yeah.
First, we have the BBI. We do know that the Siaya County has passed the bill.
Yeah, the 23 more to go.
Yeah, 23 more to go.
Yes.
And there is still the Katiba Watch guys that are being read by the former Justice Minister, Mother Karua, and
It's
others.
called the Linda Katiba,
Katiba
group, yes.
Group.
Yeah.
There is also another constituency within those who are allied to the Deputy President. There are some of them who are very vocal. In fact, the allies of the Deputy are, some of them are for it and others are not for it. I've heard some of them who are saying, well, I don't think it is that bad. But examining all that is going on, and from a professional perspective, and I know you are in touch with many people within the younger people, professionals. What's the voice of your colleagues?
One is that, there are matters of principle and there are matters of preference.
Yeah.
So, speaking from where I come from, that BBI is a preferential document.
Yeah.
That BBI, it passes or not, life will not fundamentally change. So, being a preferential document, where it has not raised very strong moral or issues that of principle, that you can say on this, I'm ready to die for it.
Yeah.
So what you have is succession politics that is being canvassed on the platform of BBI.
BBI.
So when you look at it and you say constitutional reforms across the world and even the history of this country have been fast political. So you have a political consensus struck by the incumbent president together with the then opposition in the sense that we need to expand the political space. We need to increase the number of, let me use a very plain language that ordinary person can understand. We need to increase the number of the people who are eating on the table and ensure that we move from the number 2 that we currently have to 5 people.
Yeah.
And then after 5 people, we also want to have the people who are in the opposition to also ensure that when scrums are left off the table, they also are not struggling. And that is why you have the 5 positions that have been broadened under BBI together with the 2 positions of the opposition. So basically, Dr. Njuguna, that is the political discourse. And the idea is, anyone who is going to form an organizer formation, let us have a formation that is constitutionally recognized. So you have a formation whereby, around how many positions nationally? You have a situation whereby you will have 5 communities on one block. Then the other thing that also that will be done over and above the 5 communities, there are also other let me say, two other positions. That is the Speaker of the National Assembly together with the Speaker of the Senate. That forms 7 positions. So you go, I know you are a man of God, so let me use you, but you have a politician in the name of Njuguna saying that this is my lineup. So my president, I am going to be the president, my running mate will be so-and-so, our prime minister will be so-and-so, our 2 deputy prime ministers will be so-and-so. So those promises will go to 5 communities. And that is why you noticed everybody now is raising their ante or raising their capital so that if you do not get the prime minister, at least you fall for the 2 deputies. And that's why you see Joho, you see Oparanya, people are trying to position themselves to raise their stakes so that they can function at the national level. So Dr. Njuguna, so that is what you are having in the name of BBI. The problem we have, these things of 35% to the county governments, CDF constitutionalized, ward development funds, those are called sweeteners. So that is on the political front. So what is needed at the moment, Bishop, is that people need to understand and contextualize BBI from that dimension. So the Linda Katiba group, the formation around the deputy president in opposition to the BBI, those are just posturing. So the civil society group, they are saying, we will not wait. We want to defend our document. But remember, they are not in the political space. They are not primary actors. They play a peripheral role. And you will notice no one will give them a lot of attention.
Now, you have read the document.
Yes.
And I've read the document.
Yes.
I read the first one.
The second one.
I read the second one.
And also the bill.
And I also have the bill. Actually, I even have the summary of what Ulaya, Ulaya has
done.
sent. Yeah, so I have all that. But there's something I don't seem to capture.
Yeah.
In all the documents that I've read. And that is the issue of how, even if we pass BBI, we will make sure that somebody who loses an election will concede defeat and to ensure that we continue. Because let me tell you,
yes, sir.
Everything else we are trying to do is not as important to the people of Kenya.
Yes.
What people of Kenya get so worried about is to enter a crisis because an election has taken place and the loser has refused to concede. And one of the greatest disturbing things, and now we can talk because, of course, now you see what happened in the U.S.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, there's nothing as tragic as believing a lie. Because when you believe a lie and you are a leader, then you communicate that lie to people who support you. Then they act
based on that lie.
Based on that lie.
Yes.
And what has been the biggest worry of many people is that aspect. From what you have read, it doesn't matter. So we know we have whoever loses will be the opposition leader. We know the seats are expanded. Because for me, that really is not a very big issue.
And that is why I remember I said when you asked me a question about BBI, I told you about matters of preference and matters of principle. Now, remember at some point we had a government of 41 ministers. Do you remember that government, the Grand Coalition government? And that government moved the country, whether you like, however expensive it was, because of the circumstances we're in. So for me, Dr. Njuguna, the issue for me for BBI, when you're looking at it, is that you have to see it from that context. Otherwise, you will not see the big picture, that it is succession politics that are at hand. So if you jump into the BBI conversation without appreciating that context. Remember in 1976 to 78, you had what we normally call the Change the Constitutional Group. The Change the Constitutional Group of 76, 78 was basically, we cannot allow this thing to go away from Kenyatta to any other tribe. At that time, it was about getting the Vice President, Moi, to succeed Kenyatta. But you know what they coached and they gave it the veneer? It is in the name of change the constitutional group.
Yeah.
Then when it came to the year 2002, oh, change the constitution, no reform, no election, you know, all that was all around succession politics.
Yeah.
Then the other time we had another succession politics was in the year 2013. We had the ICC. You remember the old conversation, prayer rallies. Somebody wants to take us to the ICC. And let me tell you, that was just purely one thing, succession politics. So here you have an incumbent in the name of President Uhuru Kenyatta who wants two things. He is looked at his economic agenda and philosophy, but that will not be his legacy. Kibaki has an unmatched legacy on matters economy. So what Uhuru Kenyatta has sat down and realized, if I bequeath these people a political heritage, whereby they can move to an election, and then that election is peacefully conducted, with a situation whereby the political space is more accommodating, this is a more secure legacy. Then he has found a very good timing in the sense that everybody else, the other suitors, are looking at 2022. And they're looking at 2022 with two options. One is that if I go for the highest price and I don't get it, I need to have a soft landing. That is guaranteed by the Constitution. So that is why you notice Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi, all these other guys who are in NASA are on one side. Because they have seen survival politics, issues will be sorted out. Now, William Ruto, who had gathered momentum, who has been campaigning from 2013, and he had positioned himself very clearly that beyond Uhuru Kenyatta, I'm the one. What has happened? He is now on the one who is fighting from inside. He is inside, but fighting to become relevant. So basically, what we have ahead of us, Dr. Njuguna, is succession politics 101. And from
that does not, to me.
Let me come to your question. You're asking about acceptance of an election results. The challenge is that some things cannot be codified in law, because the only person who has lost more elections is the former premier. So it's very hard to get him to commit. He can commit politically, but you cannot capture that in law. So what has been done under BBI is to provide for a position of leader of official opposition, who is second in terms of rank, in terms of, profile, when you go to the National Assembly. In terms of president, it will be the National Speaker of the National Assembly, the Prime Minister, and then the leader of official opposition. So facilitated and funded by government, even to have a shadow cabinet. So that, Doctor, is the only closest answer I can give, but you cannot commit to an individual on such an issue.
Let me tell you this.
Yes.
You have participated in the elections.
Yes. Here. I have been an election observer. I actually almost became a commissioner of the IEBC. All that,
do you know that there are people who believe that the former premier
is
the one who won, who beat Kibaki?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe in
2007.
2007?
Yes.
Then beat, then even 2013?
Yes.
And 2017, they believe his victory was stolen.
You see, one of the things you have to appreciate...
And surprisingly, is like there are people who believe that.
No, you see...
because you and I, for me, let me tell you, the 2013 election, because I participated in all these elections, but what disappointed me was the 2017? I think it's 2013. Is it 2017 or 2013? Because
tell me,
I think it's 2017. Is it 2017 where... I think it was 2013.
The one for the...
When we had Kerry here.
Yes, 2017.
It was 2017, Kerry.
Yes, yes. He was the lead observer for the US under the...
It was 2017?
It was 2017.
Okay.
Yes.
I still remember him trying to have a meeting with the former PM and telling him, listen, I've run for an election and I've lost. And I don't want to refuse. And from where we stand, because we observe this thing, please, you lost this election.
That was the verdict of the.
Do you understand?
Yes, of the Carter Center.
Yeah, not just the Carter Center, but the African Union.
Yes.
There were several. You know, they were riding up at this hotel next to. It's what it's called, Radisson.
Radisson Blue. Yes.
Radisson. It's like
Yes.
all those were issuing statements from there. Now the question is, what guarantees, even with a safe landing of an opposition leader or whatever, what can persuade you or any Kenyan today that we are going to run into an election and the loser will concede defeat and be satisfied with an opposition in parliament? Because let me tell you, by the end of the day...
Let me even answer your question. You're asking a very difficult thing, huh?
Yeah.
And very few people would want to answer it. But let me have the boldness and the courage to take it on. Yeah. And I will give an example, Bishop.
Yeah.
You have a possibility of William Ruto, presidential candidate, together with Raila Odinga leading one formation. Let me tell you, those two gentlemen are very, when you look at the way they prosecute their politics, in terms of their mobilization, in terms of the way they have conducted their elections, we may want you people to pray for us and pray for Kenya more, having those two, because there are possibility of either two accepting and conceding a defeat. Considering the way we have undermined our electoral process, what we have done to our IEBC, let me tell you, it's only the Lord who can guarantee the security and the stability of our country. Because when I look at their track record, in fact, I believe it was if Uhuru Kenyatta was on one side, and if 2013, I think even the reaching out. It took the magnanimity and the grace of the president to be able to reach out. So for me, I am really praying that let's get BBI out and we start focusing on how to secure the 2022 election. Because let me say this, Bishop, I am an economist and I can tell you currently in the economy, things are not easy. I can actually tell you many people are going through a difficult time. So you have a very closely contested election at a time when the economy is doing very poorly, okay? It's very easy to rally people. You have a lot of energy that just needs to be awakened and marshaled. Even look at the current talk around the issue of the hustler conversation. It is threatening, and it is why we are where we are, is that there is need, in my view, to moderate the engagement. Actually, voices of reason. We have even challenged, even us at the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, we are going to be issuing a statement, because what we've seen from the National Commission on Integration is a very weak, very timid statement. They do not want to take on and to speak boldly, though their mandates were given to them. Even
the thing is, one of the
things,
for us, like now there's a statement. You know what? There's a statement
we were working on.
We were working, and when we came to go and read the statement, the people who are only available were myself and Kefa Omai. But then I told Bishop Kefa, listen, for us to read this statement, we need a cross-section of leaders to be available, so that nobody can be labeled.
Yes, and
because you see, one of the things that will deliver this country, and I pray that that happens sooner than later, is when church leaders who have no, who really, their objective is not a preferred presidential candidate, but the objective is for the welfare of Kenya. Do you understand?
Yes, lovers of God and lovers of the people and the Republic.
To be able to come out and raise issues of concern. For me, I've tried in my own small way to try to so that I can get a platform to where I can articulate. For me, I would have no difficulties and because I read. Well, one of the things that advantages me is that since I do a lot of reading, I try to follow closely what Mr. Njoroge is saying of Central Bank.
I also
follow
Ukuru Yatan, CS.
I want to hear what he's saying. And because those are factual, those are the people who can be able to say. Like now, I'm glad yesterday he admitted that they have not, the share revenue for December and January is still pending. But I had the previous day, as if the there's a gentleman who was speaking from Kajiado who says they have not received money since August. So now I don't know who is lying between because I have no way of verifying. But the key thing is this. There is a gentleman who wrote something, and his name is Patrick Mbogwa. I don't know whether you know him.
No.
And Patrick Mbogwa wrote this in November 20th last year.
Yeah.
And he said, why BBI will not promote peace or prevent violence.
Violence, yeah.
The BBI is not a document for building durable peace in Kenya because it ignores the causes and consequences of past political violence. Instead, the report invents ethnic antagonism and competition and divisive elections as challenges, and history jumps to the expansion of the executive as a solution. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah.
But that is not where the problem is. And this gentleman says that President Uhuru Kenyatta has touted the Building Bridges Initiative report as a panacea for peace, that we had political and or election-related violence in Kenya. Mr. Kenyatta has not given Kenyans his definition or understanding of peace. But his lines of argument affirm his minimalist understanding of peace or what peace entails. Students of peace, study peace as akin to peace between the proverbial happy slave and the slave master. Now, overall, Mr. Kenyatta's argument on peace and political violence in Kenya are based on flawed premises. Among them, very naive, essentialist view of ethnicity and a tunnel vision of Kenya's social divide. But that is a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Rather, this commentary aims to assess whether BBI is a panacea for peace and whether it can prevent political-related violence in the future.
Yeah.
I will comment on BBI process and analyze who perpetrated the past, who has perpetrated the past political violence and why, and then elevate BBI's response to that political violence. So the key thing is this: what we do not want in this country
is turmoil and violence.
Because you see, I really can understand where the president is coming from.
Yeah.
Because he can analyze to say the setbacks we have suffered as a people every time following the election.
Yes.
We do an election and we lose.
Like now, for 2 years, we go to an electioneering period.
Yeah.
And then after, we spend another 1 year to recover. So we practically are working for 2 years as a country. And this is because of the high stakes that politics has. Do you know, Dr. Njuguna, the richest people in the country are people who have been in politics. Very few people are people who have grown riches because of the enterprise and the industries they've built. So what happens when you make politics to be the most rewarding, the highest paying? What is going to, you're rewarding, you're not rewarding hard work, you're not rewarding diligence. Yet, you know, when people become wealthy when they go to commerce and to business. So for me, Daktari, is that I would say that we have to reduce the premium that we have given to our politics. And the people to help us do this. You know, my devotion this morning was on the issue of the story of Nathan and David, when David had committed adultery with Bathsheba. And I really like the wisdom of Nathan, where he comes, he honors the position of the king, and he tells him that you, David, is that rich man who has slaughtered the sheep or the ewe of the poor man, yet you had many. The point is this: we require a gospel that is transformative, a gospel that changes and actually shocks people's perspective and beliefs. Because I can tell you, how is it, Daktari? Because at times we point at the politician. How comes when election happens in Kenya, the way Rift Valley votes will be bearing equals to where Ruto is going. The way Central Kenya votes is how Uhuru Kenyatta. The way Nyanza votes is the way, directly where Raila Odinga is. Tell me, Are there Christians there? Are there people who believe and look at Christ, who is our uniting factor? How comes that the ethnic consciousness is still strong than the salvation that we have received and the cleansing that has come with from the blood of Christ? Actually, these are one of these days I would want to just sit down with men of cloth like you and tell them, what is it that we can do to raise a people whose consciousness, like their allegiance to the tribe is not adulterated to an extent whereby even the truth becomes subservient?
And I realized I didn't know that our time was going to run out even before we address the issue of the economy, which we were trying to do. But I called it dictum in peace studies, which originates from Mahatma Gandhi's moral philosophy, is the unity of process and ends.
Yes.
The dictum posits that the process that is used to engender social change should consist with the goal. This means that if the end goal is inclusion, then the process for attaining this goal should be inclusive. Now, because an inclusive process
will guarantee an inclusive outcome.
But you see now, the problem we have, the BBI.
Yes.
The BBI fails this test because it started as an exchange, an opaque process driven by two men. That is our president and the former prime minister. For example, out of the 14 members and 2 co-chairs, listen, who compiled the BBI task force?
Yes.
9 were political affiliates of either Kenyatta or
the former prime minister.
Therefore, one can infer that the process was heavily skewed towards the interest of the 2 men, and all the public hearing were just to rubber stamp a predetermined outcome, which can discern this predetermined outcome from BBI reports process. And listen, this is a statement. This is Patrick Bogwa. Even if you want to rule him out, what he is saying, you and I know
that
you understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
Because you remember,
I resonate
even
with
the BBI. One of the things that aggrieved some people is how they took people without considering their demographic factors to where there is proper representation in terms of the age bracket.
I see.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, because let me tell you, the perception of a 70, 80-year-old and a perception of a 45-year-old
are different.
Are very different.
Yes.
But anyways, since we are running out of time, we can only visit this another time.
I see.
But for me, I've always been very persuaded that our president concept on what he desired to achieve was very noble.
It is, and he should be credited and commended for it. Yeah.
It was very noble.
Yes.
And sometimes I could hear him saying he wants to balance between his deputy and the former prime minister. But I think it became very difficult.
No, but I don't think it became difficult. What happened is that the president did not rise up to the next level where it's called a transcendent platform. He was courageous in initiating the BBI, but he did not have the courage to sustain the momentum.
All right. I want you to pray that God his purpose will prevail regarding the BBI. One of the things I have learned over the years is sometimes when the government want to drive